Hello, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships. Today, I finally got around to featuring a battle featuring the Tier 10 premium British battleship, the Thunderer. I've had this ship for some time, as Wargaming removed it from being available to obtain with the release of Update 10.1, which was in early 2021 of last year, so almost a year ago. The ship was basically removed from the game. So the Thunderer. I'm going to talk a little about the ship from the Wiki, but we're also I'm going to be going into more details of what's happening in this battle. So we're on the map Mountain Range in Arms Race. So it's a little different than random, so you get these different key buffs, so on and so forth. So that's some of the icons you're seeing on the screen. So this ship was designed as a battleship with increased firepower on the basis of the British experience in ship construction gained during World War II. The project was notable for the 457mm main guns, which were developed in the early 1920s and were the most powerful British naval artillery systems. Talking about the player opinion of performance, the Thunder exists as the sister ship of the Tier 10 UK battleship, the Conqueror, that you can just get in the tech tree. As such, she shares many of Conqueror's in-game performance characteristics and weaknesses. Despite the similarities, Thunder possesses certain distinguishable traits that differentiate her. Immediately, players will notice she has access to the defensive AA fire consumable. Players will also find that Thunder is more agile, with slightly increased turret traverse speed and decreased reload time. She deals damage to aircraft with a short-range anti-aircraft armament, which Conqueror is lacking. To balance these traits, her repair party consumable is much less effective, though, as she has an additional charge and decreased cooldown time of this consumable in comparison to her sister ship. Other differences include her Sigma dispersion formula and the fuse timer settings on her armor-piercing shells. And I'm going to be demonstrating the armor-piercing shells. We're not going to be focusing so much on the HE on Thunder in this video. Thunder is equipped with dual-mounted 457mm main guns mounted in 4 turrets. A full salvo unleashes 8 shells, which are extremely accurate, meaning that Thunder has a very high potential to inflict devastating damage to an enemy foolish enough to show their broadside, and you'll see examples of that in this battle. Her large caliber AP rounds are capable of penetrating thick armor to reach the citadels of armored ships. Players advised to switch to high explosive for lesser armored targets in order to avoid over-penetration, which you will find that often being a thing in Thunder. Thunder's HE shells sport an incredible fire chance, which makes them a great option to deal with in battleships or cruisers that she cannot overmatch with her armor piercing. Her stock decreased reload time paired with the proper upgrade, and I think we get a good example there of AP. Even though it's not a whole bunch of health, but you get to see some armor piercing action there. Where were we? Her stock decreased reload time paired with the proper upgrade module means that Thunder has reload time more in line with a battle cruiser rather than a battleship. Her excellent concealability affords her the ability to choose her engagements and wait for the opportune moment to fire. However, her armor scheme is far from being good, forcing captains to play in the back and capitalizing on enemy. Yeah, we got another citadel there. Capitalizing on enemy mistakes to inflict serious damage. Thunder is a truly formidable opponent. Whether she be fighting naval units or aircraft, she can be customized and equipped to fit several different playstyles, and she will surely be seen excelling in her captain's desired role. So I can throw this rest of this article up in the link in the description on the pros and cons, but we're not going to go so much into that as I want to transition more into the battle here. So in this video, I probably a lot of you as viewers, players of World of Warships have seen a lot of examples of Thunder's high explosive performance. She truly has outstanding fire setting chance with her shells, and I need to remind myself. Yeah, 63%. So, I mean, you're basically almost guaranteed when you land a salvo on an enemy ship that you're going to be setting fires. And so there's so many videos of showing, farming with high explosive with Thunder. So in this battle, I'm experimenting with two things, one of which is my positioning, and the other is the armor piercing. Because you see we've had multiple opportunities of broadside, especially on cruisers and battleships. If you see something like a light cruiser, like let's say a Smolensk, you're most likely going to overpin. So that's an example of using high explosive. Here I'm in the center of the map and I'm playing with my throttle. This is something I want to highlight in a future video, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it now. And that is playing with your throttle. So I'm at this long range away where I'm accelerating, and throttle, I'm decreasing throttle, I'm going forwards, I'm going reverse without sailing in circles, because I feel like it's easy as a player that you get too distracted by the A and D key rather than just focusing more on the WS key, right? So what I mean by that is you'll see a lot of battleships, like they just make circles basically versus like sitting angled, kind of like I am, and moving in a little bit more in towards the enemy, kiting a little bit away and playing with throttle. So we're going to get a decent amount of potential damage to us. I think we're already over 500,000 at this point. And here I have I had some high explosive loaded, but I switched to armor piercing just in case this Riga decides to show some broadside, so I can be prepared for it. So I'm playing in this center area. One of the reasons being is that if you look at the top of the screen, you see key area appears in a minute 20. And that is that you basically have this big cap circle. So I said, hey, let me try this more central positioning because they nerfed Thunder's range. It's 21.5 now, I believe, and I think originally it could have been up to 23, if I'm not mistaken, because a lot of players were, let's say, sniping per se with Thunder, but Thunder is not a well-loved ship per se by the community just because of the ridiculous HE fire setting chance, high explosive fire setting chance with the shells. And so people are like, man, like this ship is broken with, kind of the real time, but especially that fire setting chance. And then so Wargaming's like, yep, we're going to nerf the range. Like that was the problem with Thunder. So we're playing this central positioning. I've been experimenting with the armor piercing as well as the high explosive. So when you have targets like angling away, bow in, you really want to be using that high explosive. If you want to be more of a farmer with Thunder, let's say you're switching fire between ships. Let's say you set 2 fires on a battleship and it forces them to use their damage control party. Then you fire your next salvo at them again, and you're likely going to set them on fire. Maybe you set another fire, and then you switch to another, let's say a battle cruiser, a battleship, and you focus on setting them on fire. So the idea is that you have multiple fires going on multiple ships at the same time, increasing your damage. So meaning you're going to have, more likely to get something like the Witherer or the Arsonist, which is kind of common to get in these types of ships. So I personally don't play to farm damage. In some of these arms races, like if you saw the Des Moines game I had, I think I broke 419,000 damage with Des Moines. Just because in arms race, your reload time, it gets enhanced even further and you use positioning wisely. Like that was a really fun battle. Where I try to focus more on team play versus farming damage. Like you'll see players like who may purposely leave ships alive, like a Thunder, like let's say a battleship's low on health, and you'll see that Thunder player stop firing on that target and switch fire to another battleship because they basically want that battleship that's almost dead to get a heal off, and then they'll refocus on them trying to get more damage. Like that's something you can do really easily with Thunder, but I like to kill, I like to finish off and not let a ship continue to exist in the game if I can help it. So the Thunder has really good concealment too, so that is really helpful when you are, let's say you need to disengage because the enemy team is pushing in. You can get her concealment down to, I think it's 12 something. I'm trying to, it's only giving me stock let's see, 15.66 minus, I have to think this through, 1.56, 14 minus, yeah, I think it's like 12.6, 12.5 with maybe with the camo, something like that. I'll keep an eye on the screen here. Now we just got a Citadel on that Montana. I was like, why didn't I get a Citadel on that previous salvo I fired? So that Montana, he slowed down thinking he was safe, but we were able to punch through the forward part of the hull and reaching into the Citadel, and I'm hoping for another Citadel here. But we just get penetrations, 4 pins, and 1 over pin. So that's actually really good. So that shot is going to probably be too far away. But when I'm playing with the positioning and talking about using the WS key, playing with the throttle, you can see we're 1.5 million potential damage now. And I've been playing this sort of well, I can't really say mid-range because a lot of that in the beginning of the battle, the enemy team was far away. And you have accurate enough guns with between the dispersion and the Sigma value that you're going to land a lot of shots even though you only have 8 guns. So here you can see it looks like concealment is 12.3. That sounds right. And so I'm making a gamer turn here. I'm not detected, and then I get detected because I know the enemy team was going to start pushing in from the 2-3 line. So I wanted to be more of an angled kite out position. Montana's disengaged. It's gone to the left side of the map. So I wanted to get positioned myself while I thought I'd still be invisible, but that destroyer, the Morgador, lit me. And the Morgador with his engine boost lit, or going, really have to focus on leading. I could probably do another video in the future showing off more of the high explosive capabilities of Thunder. You can see at this point, it looks like we've only set 1 fire. But I feel like there's already so many videos out there already that showcase the high explosive capabilities, because it's really known for that. Like often you'll see some players just don't like Thunder on an enemy team and they'll try to focus it down pretty quick. It's like when you see a Smolensk or a Minotaur, or especially a Smolensk, people are like, nope, I have to shoot that now. I don't care how close this other enemy ship is. Smolensk needs to die because it's just fire cancer. So showcasing that the guns are accurate, you can get really good damage with the armor piercing. There you see a salvo of 5 pins and 2 set on fires. So when you're talking about the Conqueror, you don't have that defensive A like you have the Conqueror, and you don't have that super duper heal where basically print yourself a new ship like Conqueror has. And that is already game. So we're going to go ahead and go into post-battle results, and maybe I'll talk a little bit more about the Thunder, but we're going to do an upgrade and commander build on the Thunder tomorrow as well. So over 450,000 credits, 6,985 experience, 1,488 free XP, over 150,000 damage, so a modest battle. 1 destroyed, 3 set on fires, 3 citadels, and we seized a buff, and we had 1 spotting ribbon. So really big stuff right there. The enemy team was playing really passive, per se, when they were really far away at range. We're going to get over, looks like 1,600 base experience in topping the team. So it was, the battle could have gone longer, but once you seize that center cap, the points just tick really fast for your team. So the match will end rather quick here in arms race. You can see we killed the Alaska pretty quick. Good chunk of damage on the Montana and that Riga. And then you can see that HE did pretty good on the Napoli and Ibuki as well. And with premium counts, this is total profit, as you can see here on the screen. So we use the Mighty Jingles as our commander on the Thunder. So that, to me, that's pretty fun. But again, just not as long as the battle, but just wanting to focus more on talking about that the armor piercing, especially when you get broadside cruisers, can be really devastating, but you have to be careful on some light cruisers. You can overpin really easily and just punch through the hull of the ship, clean out the other side without the armor piercing shells. What's the term? igniting? No, I forget the phrase now. Arming to, you know, explode in the citadel or hull of the ship. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really fun when you're just focusing, I guess, per se, when you're just lighting everything on fire. Like, this is fine. Just setting everything on fire. But the armor piercing can be really good. I mean, you can get huge, devastating strikes on cruisers in particular, but even battleships if they're not mindful and show you too much broadside. So, but then also you get to see a little bit of that positioning play. We had over 2 million potential damage, I believe, by the end of that battle. But just when you kind of sit in this position, rather than just making constant circles, you know, staying angled, accelerating, deaccelerating, reversing, and you could see that the Montana and other cruisers had a hard time landing shells on me at distance. Even though I was playing around the halfway point in the map from our spawn to enemy spawn. But that's that they disengage when their flank collapsed. So as I said, tomorrow we'll have an upgraded commander build of the Thunderer. So stay tuned for that if you want to catch that. I'll show you with you my experience. I don't think I can necessarily consider myself a professional with the Thunderer. I feel like I'm still learning. I mean, in this battle, it's just me experimenting and trying out something different. And I really liked the results of playing with the throttle, but being in that position where I feel like I could support my team well and take good advantage of the armor piercing and just trying to showcase and highlight it a little more than just the high explosive shells. So with that being said, if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much, as we just passed the 650 subscribers on the channel, which is really cool. So until next time, take care.